premiere here again. Time has come. This is going to be a very interesting. I already talked about this recently in my past videos, but this is going to be Ivan's Miscellaneous series, Swimming with the Sharks. Obviously, now I'm going to give you a quick note here. I didn't take my notes because I was too lazy to take my notes. It takes me usually a good hour to write my notes. I don't have my stepbrother's laptop today because there's people upstairs. They won't let me use a laptop. I wanted to have a laptop so I can show you pictures as usual, obviously. Um, which is too bad. That's too bad, obviously. But the reason why I didn't write notes because I pretty much know. I already know in depth what I want to talk about, obviously. But the reason why I like writing notes is that way I'm very organized when I speak, obviously. Whereas when I talk cold turkey, I have to constantly think about what I want to talk about, obviously. But I already know what I want to talk about in depth for Amazon and for the Hollywood actors. When I start my Sky, me and my wife start our Sky Source big ass film entertainment company. So what I'm gonna do, I'll babble on for the first part. I told you my keyboard works now. So whenever I upload my video, you're gonna see Ivan's Miscellaneous series, Swimming with the Sharks. You're also gonna see the intro of the video, obviously the intro, the Ivan's Book Wow series intro. So every time you see the Ivan's Book Wow series intro, that means the video is part of my Miscellaneous series. And you only have two videos left. You have this video and you have the final announcement. And that is it, man. That is it. And you also have my side videos that I'm remaking, which is my Lord of the Rings read-along. It's a good chance I'll finish my Lord of the Rings read-along mid-October, around there. And then for the remainder of the month, I'll just make other side videos and I'll babble on. And it's interesting because you guys love when I babble on, obviously. So I'll talk for a good, I don't know, part one, I'll talk for 30 minutes. And then 15 minutes into part two. 15 minutes into part two, around there. So I'll babble on for a good 45, 47 minutes. And then for the remainder of the video, I will talk about Amazon, and I'll talk about the Hollywood actors. For the remaining, I don't know, for the remaining 45 minutes, I'll probably talk for a good 30, 35 minutes, talk about that. And then the remaining time of the video, I'll just babble on and talk about other stuff. And you're looking at a very interesting video. But you guys already know what I'm going to talk about because I've mentioned briefly in my past videos about Amazon and Hollywood actors. But I'm going to talk a bit more in depth for this video. You're looking at a very, very interesting video, so stay tuned for that, obviously. Obviously, right? So this is part one. I'm going to say, just in case the keyboard doesn't work, I'm going to tell you what part I'm on. This is part one. Whenever I say good evening world, that's obvious. It's always part one, obviously. And for my next video, I will say this is part what? This is part two, obviously. I'm gonna keep. You might hear some noise upstairs because I'm making the video during the day. I have to make it during the day. My plan was to make the video at nighttime and make it with the laptop. I told you there's some personal stuff going on in the house I don't want to talk about. There's people sleeping upstairs at night, hence I can't make the video at nighttime because they're gonna tell me to shut the camera off. And I really wanted to use my separate laptop because I want to show you guys pictures. As you guys love it when I show you pictures of the kind of life me and my wife are living, the 100millionaire.com. I've already shown you many pictures. The 100millionaire.com, the luxury jet, the luxury yacht. You know what I'm saying? My top high-end office I'm gonna own. Obviously, before I said I want to find leasing space. The problem with leasing offices is that the office may not be the way you want it to be. Obviously, because I want my office to have what, a foyer and like 5 offices, and then a big and a boardroom, and that's it. So the problem with finding leasing space is that you may find you can find an office. What if the office isn't what you want? What if the office isn't what you want? Isn't the way you want it to look like? Obviously, there's a good chance if you lease an office, they might not, the owners might not allow you to renovate the office. Hence why I'm just going to build my office from scratch. If I can find land downtown, that's even better. As I prefer my office to be downtown Vancouver, but there's a good chance my office might not even be downtown Vancouver. It might be outside downtown Vancouver. But I'm gonna build a nice office for myself, and my office will just be the office for me and my wife and my 7th. I can easily have the 10 million that I'm putting towards building the building for my special effects team. I can also have the 17, me and my wife work in that same building if you want to. or you can build separate buildings. I prefer to build separate buildings because I don't want the 17 to be distracting. Also, I want it to be quiet. I prefer to have one office where it's me, my wife, and the 17, and then I have a separate building. Right, I'll have the building built right next to what I'll have the building built right next to me and my wife's office in 17, and that's where all the special effects team will work. Obviously, there's a good chance the special effects team. I don't know. Should I have the special effects team be full time contractors like the 17? I could do that. Actually, no, because for each movie I'm making is a different movie. Like, like the special effects people who worked on Lord of the Rings are not really good for what they're not necessarily good for organization. Hence why the special even though I'm gonna build a building for the special effects team, a lot of those guys are contractors. And not all the same people will be coming back. Obviously. So I'll build a building I'll have to find a team. For the special effects team for Zaso Vazanis, I want the people who were special effects team who worked on Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings, you can have Lord of the Rings, Passion of the Christ, Avatar. You can hire those people to work for you. For hire a couple people who work for those movies. Obviously, the main people will have the people who worked on Lord of the Rings. Um, you can have Lord of the Rings, Passion of Christ, Matrix. For the action scenes, you have a bunch of different minds. That way, you have good quality for the movie. Obviously, Passion of the Christ, Avatar, and Underworld: Rise of Lycans. I can hire five main guys who work in those movies. Two people who worked from Lord of the Rings, one who worked on Matrix, one who worked on Passion Christ, and one who worked on Underworld: Rise of the Lycans. And those would be my five main people. Five main people is enough. And everyone else are assistants, obviously. You have the assistants. So the five main people I'll pay $2 million, which is a good paycheck. And their assistants I'll pay like $170,000, which is a nice paycheck for an assistant. As in Hollywood, they make like what, 40K. I don't know, the supervisors may make like 80, I don't know, 75,000, 150,000, something like that, 200,000, and the assistants they get paid like 50K, 45K, whatever it is. Whereas I'm paying them a nice $170,000, and so they're all going to work harder for me. Obviously, they're all going to work harder for me. They're all going to. So I'll babble on for a good like 45 minutes, and I'll delve into the interesting topic, which will be about Amazon. And I'll also talk about the Hollywood actors, how none of them are worth me and my wife's roles. I'm going to keep saying that. I already talked about this in the past. None of these Hollywood actors are getting a piece of me and my wife's roles. I'm going to be very strict on that. As I'm paying you a good enough salary, and if it's not good enough for you, you're more than welcome to go to ban the project. I'll cast someone else. You won't be saved. Go back to eating shitty food in Hollywood during production. You can go back to what? Being the side tension. You can go back to being a dirty slave and making dirty millions if you don't like my fucking offer. Yeah, there you go. As I put all these Hollywood actors, you don't want to make your clean millions. You don't want to make your clean millions, and you want to be in Hollywood. You want to be a dirty slave. You're more than welcome to go to Hollywood. Even though you'll make a lot of money, obviously, you'll go back to being a dirty slave when you go back to making dirty millions. You go back to eating shitty food, the one plate bullshit. If you want to go back to eating shitty food, being flown commercial, you're more than welcome to go to Hollywood if you don't like my offer, obviously. If it's not gonna, but all these actors, none of them are gonna be angry because I'm paying them a lot of money. They all know they're getting a fat check in the bank, a very fat check in the bank. Same time they're getting free millions. The money didn't come out of price. Hence why what? Hence why they're all gonna accept my offer. And I told you if some of them get angry, I'm gonna tell them, look, man, if this offer is not good enough for you, you're more than welcome to go to abandon the project. I'll cast someone else. You can go to Hollywood. You can go work in Hollywood if you don't like my offer, obviously. Even though I'm paying you free millions. It's money that you're never gonna make in Hollywood. You're never gonna make free millions in Hollywood. As in Hollywood, you're a dirty slave. There's no such thing as free money in Hollywood. Obviously. Because I'm a clean businessman, I'm not a dirty businessman. And there's nothing worse than being a dirty businessman, obviously. There's nothing worse than having someone pay a price to make money. Nah, man. I'm a clean business person. No actor will pay a price for my movie. The only price they're gonna pay is they're gonna have to put up with pay. Well, putting up with fame isn't really a price, but for my movie, because it's international fame, they're gonna have to put up with the fame, man. That's the only price. If that's the only price you're gonna pay for my movie, look, man. When you're in my movie, you're gonna be once you're in my movie, you're never gonna be the same. You're gonna be really really famous. The whole world is gonna be going crazy with my movie. Hence, you're never gonna be the same. As you're looking at continents going crazy with my movie, all in North America, all of especially Europe and North America, those are the countries that are going to go crazy with my movie. You also have Australia, New Zealand; those are English speaking countries. They're all going, all of Australia, all New Zealand going crazy with my movie. You also have all of China. China has over 1 billion people. So imagine all of China going crazy with my movie because I'm releasing my movie in Chinese subtitles. You also have all of Russia. You know what I'm saying? You have all of, I'm releasing it in Korean. I'll release it in Korean too. All of Japan. I'm releasing it in Japanese. Japan. Imagine all of Japan, China, Korea going crazy about my movie. And you have all of Europe. All the countries in Europe going crazy about my movie and all of North America. So you also have what? Mexico, obviously. I don't know if Amazon's in South America. South America is like a second world continent, obviously. But I know Amazon's in all of Europe and they're in all of North America. They're in China. They're also in Australia, New Zealand, and Japan, Korea. Those places are going to go crazy about my movie, obviously. You're looking at something crazy, obviously. Amazon's in over 100 countries around the world. They're in a lot of countries around the world. Hence why they're worth a nice what? They're worth a nice profit, obviously. A nice piece of the profits, obviously. I'll talk about that later on in my second part. So I'll babble on for 30 minutes for this video, and I'll babble on for 50 minutes since part two. But once I hit around that 50-minute range, I'll start talking about the topic. Because this video is what? My swimming with the sharks video, obviously. I didn't write any notes. I'm too lazy to write notes. Because it takes me like an hour to write notes. And because I don't have the laptop, I have to write on a notebook. I don't feel like writing on a notebook. Because I already know what I want to talk about in depth, I don't need to take notes. Because I know what I'm going to talk about, obviously. And after this video, I will go to the store and take a shower, go to the store, and get a pack of smokes, come back and enjoy the show. And I might even order tonight. If I get my check, my extra government check, whatever it is, I might order some make it easy and watch. Well, by then I'll watch the video, but I'll watch some games tonight or something like that. I'm watching some really, really good games online on YouTube, obviously. But yeah, man, you guys already know how top notch of a Sky Source company me and my wife are gonna own, man. And I told you for the 7 team, because I want to keep my company simple, obviously. But for the 7 team, if I see that the 7 team really needs help, they need a little bit of help, I'll hire like 2 assistants to help them. I'll hire 2 assistants. The assistants have to work in Hollywood. I only want Hollywood people. See, these people are out. The assistants have to work in Hollywood. They have to have work in Hollywood, obviously. I'll hire a secretary, another secretary who worked in Hollywood, but they'll be the assistants. So I'll have one assistant help. I'll have one assistant help the 2 secretaries. If the secretaries really need help, I'll have one assistant help the secretaries, obviously. And I'm gonna have to put money into another computer for the assistant secretary. So the 2 secretaries will be the boss over the assistant, and they'll be telling the assistant, they'll be telling the assistant what they need help in, obviously. If the secretaries really, really need help, I could hire 3. Hire one assistant to help them. I'll pay the assistant a nice $50,000 salary. So she'll make $50,000 every year for the 4 years, which is nice, obviously. And I'll hire another person to help out the other 5. And that person, you pay him that assistant a nice 300 grand. Because that's the business calls. Because the other 5 are doing the business calls, you can pay the other assistant a bit more. Pay him a nice 300 grand a year, which is nice. And the assistant secretary, you can pay her a nice $2,000, which is a nice paycheck for an assistant, obviously. Even though Vancouver is a very expensive city to live in, if you're making $2,000 a year, you can get a pretty nice place for yourself in Vancouver. You can live a good life if you're making $2,000 a year in Vancouver. Even though Vancouver is very expensive, $2,000 you're still living a decent life in Vancouver, obviously. There's a good chance I won't need to hire assistants. So 7 people should be more than enough. Because you also have people in the crewmen who are going to help them out too, obviously. Obviously, right? You know what I'm saying? There's like, for example, when the 7 team are flown to Switzerland, I'll probably hire a good 1 or 2 assistant producers to help them. That way they're not stressed out. But 6 people is more than enough to handling producing duties. But worst, I probably will hire 1 or 2 producers to help them out. Because you're looking at a huge project, man. You're looking at a lot of stuff that the 7 team has to handle, man. To handle all the business for everything is a lot of work. But 6 people should be more than enough. My accountant's staying with me the 3rd year. But hence why I might have to hire one or two producers to help them out, assistant producers. I'll pay the assistant producers a nice, like, I don't know, 500,000, 400,000. Pay them a nice 400,000 to help them out, assistant producers. I said 600, 700,000 before. No, that's too much. Pay the assistant producers a nice, like, 400 grand, which is nice. 400 grand to help out the seventh team, the third year when they oversee production, as well as the fourth year during production. Obviously, it's a good chance I will hire assistant producers to help them out. You guys already know how top notch of a Sky's company you are for it all, man. You're looking at a company bigger than Disney, Warner Bros., Paramount, Universal. You might hear some noise with this. You're looking at a company bigger than Disney, Warner Bros., Paramount, Universal. You're looking at a company bigger than all those companies, man. You're looking at a top notch company, man. A company bigger than all those companies. And it's going to be a company that will blow all these Hollywood companies out, all these big Hollywood companies out of the water. As the amount of money I'm putting towards special effects alone is more than how much most Hollywood movies are made for a big budget movie. $380 million towards special effects alone, and yet Avengers was made for what? 316 million. That includes salaries, special effects, all stuff. Now I'm putting 380 million towards special effects alone. It doesn't include salaries. It doesn't include the set building. It doesn't include the updated IMAX cameras. It doesn't include the what? It doesn't include the extras. I'm hiring 60,000 extras, looking something unheard of for the gatherings. It doesn't include the costumes and weapons, all that stuff. It doesn't include any of that. Hence why Skyscrapers will blow Hollywood out of the water, man. It's good. You're looking at a top-notch company. Obviously. And my plan is to make 5 movies. That's my first phase. So I have phases. So phase 1 is about 25 years, around there. I don't know how long my phase will be, but you're looking at around 20, 24, 25 years. So sometime in what? We're 2020 what? We're 2021. So if I start Sky Source in 2024, 20 years is 2044, 25 years is 2049. So sometime around 2050, my phase 1 should be complete. Sometime around 2050, phase 1 will be complete for my movies, obviously. Around there, right? Sometime 2050, 2049, phase 1 will be complete, obviously. So my Western Gangster movie should be going on around that time. 2048, 49, around there. My Western Gangster movie should be going on around there. So my plan is to make 5 movies. Last Hope for Xanius, which is an adaptation of my famous fantasy novel that I wrote, my masterpiece that I wrote. My second movie is The Great Escape organizational movie. My third movie is They're Unique. My fourth movie will be The Hidden Vampire movie, and my fifth movie is the Western Gangs movie. And after that ends my phase My phase 1. And then after that, me and my wife, I might take 2 years off. After I end my my first phase, me and my wife can take a good 2 years off. Yeah, me and my wife can take a good 2 years off. And by then, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, if they're hired, I'll have them retire, obviously. So by 2050, I'll have Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni retire. I'm going to tell them, look, man, you guys are getting old. You witnessed the glory and fame of IMVG for 25 years. Even though I know they're going to want to work for me, obviously, because they don't want to be left behind. But by then, Jon Favreau will be in his early 80s. He'll be fucking old. And Dave Filoni will be like in his late 60s, 70 years old, man. And by then, in my opinion, once you hit your 70s, you should retire, man. You should enjoy your life for a good 15, 20 years. There's nothing worse than working when you're 80s. You know what I'm saying? You didn't even get to enjoy it. Yeah, you have a lot of money, but you didn't get to enjoy your retirement. As Jon Favreau, if he's hired, by 2050, after the 5 movies around there, I'm going to tell him, look, you need to retire. You're in your early 80s. You made a shitload of money. Take the money that you made and enjoy your life with your wife. With your wife and your grandkids, right? Because by then he'll have grandkids. Enjoy your life with your kids and your grandkids. Because he'll be making a shitload of money from the money that I'm paying him. Enjoy the money that you made over the 25 years and just enjoy your life. You're 81 years old. I want you to enjoy your retirement for at least a good 10 years. Because most people die in their 70s, 80s, early 90s. And once he's in his early 80s, and look, man, you need to retire, man. I don't want you working for me when you're fucking old. Yeah, man. I'm gonna tell them, look, man, if you don't want to retire, if you want to work, if you get offers in Hollywood, you want to work in Hollywood, go right ahead. I'm just saying, there's nothing worse than working when you're in your 80s and you never got a chance to. Yeah, you're making money, but you never got a chance to enjoy retirement. I'm saying, and I'm gonna also tell Dave Filoni, you need, if he's hired, I want you to retire. You made a lot of money over the 25 years. Take the money, enjoy the money that you made, the millions that you made, and retire and spend time with your wife and enjoy a nice retirement for yourself. And the 17, because the 17 will be slightly younger, there's a good chance the 17 that I hire, they're probably going to be in their, I don't know, their late 30s, early 40s maybe. So those guys, I'll probably have them work. I might have them work for maybe during phase two, but after I do my trilogy, if I do the trilogy, I'll have them retire too. Obviously, there's a good chance the 17 will be in their early 40s. Most likely, if they're experienced secretaries, chances are they're going to be in their early 40s. Guaranteed, the secretaries are going to be, good chance they're going to be in their early 40s. And the other five, there's a good chance they're all going to, most of my 17 are most likely going to be in their 40s or early 40s, obviously. So there's a good chance, I don't know, maybe after phase one, I might retire them too. Depends how old they are. Depends how old they are, man. If they're like 44, 43, in 25 years, they're going to be pushing what? They're going to be in their late 60s. Obviously, mid to late 60s. So by then, you can also have them retire too, obviously. Or I can have them work for maybe one more movie. The 17, the other guys, I might have them work for maybe one more movie, and then after that one movie, I'll retire them and I'll hire a new team. Because I don't want my team to be old, man. I want my team to be pretty young. As once you hit a certain age, and you're older, you're not able to do the things that you were able to do when you were younger. Obviously, hence why I don't want Jon Favreau, if he's hired, working for me after the Western Gangster, because he'll be like 80, 81 years old. You're 81-year-old now. You need to retire, and Dave Filoni will be like 70. Hence why, if those two guys are hired, I'm going to tell them after the 5 movies, I want you guys to retire. Enjoy your life. If you want to move to the States, you can go back. There's a good chance they're not going to want to move to the States. Because once they live in Vancouver, they're going to grow to love Vancouver. As Vancouver is more beautiful than Los Angeles, New York. And they're going to grow to love Canada more than the States because Canada's a better country than the States. Guaranteed, I guarantee you, VJ, once she lives in Vancouver, she's like, "Oh my God, Ivan, I love Vancouver so much. It's better than Los Angeles. It's better than New York." And VJ will grow to love Canada even more than the States. Because all the people who I met in my life who were American, who moved to Canada, they all tell me that, yeah, I like Canada better than the States. Because Canada's a more beautiful country, and the States is too fucking crowded, man. The States has over 300 plus million people living there. Whereas Canada, you only have like 40 million people living here. It's a lot more quiet. Vancouver isn't too crowded. There's only what? There's only about what? There's only like 600,000 people living in Vancouver. Whereas New York has what, like 9 million people living there. It's fucking crowded, man. New York is a Here's the thing, even though New York is fucking crowded, even though New York is very crowded, you know what I'm saying, it's very filthy and dirty, they have a lot of beautiful building sceneries, obviously. When I went there, and I went on the bus tour, they showed me the Empire State Building, all that stuff. They have a lot of a beautiful high view city of the city, of the buildings and all stuff. Very beautiful, obviously. Hence, if I live in the States, and if I wanted to live in the States and start skyscrapers, I would most likely live in New York. Because there's something about New York that's good for starting skyscrapers. There's also a lot of good places to build a rooftop condo in New York. The problem is New York is too crowded. New York is so crowded you can't during midday you can't even drive your car because it's too fucking crowded. The traffic is insane. It's so fucking crowded. There's 9 million people living there, and not just that, it's filthy and dirty, man. It's fucking filthy. The city is very filthy. Garbage everywhere. It's very very filthy, and it's way too crowded. It's too crowded. I can't live there, man. That's why I don't want to live in the States. And Los Angeles is even worse. Because Los Angeles, you have bums sleeping on tents a bunch of bums sleeping on tents on the side of the street and all stuff. You don't see any of that in Vancouver. You don't see any of that in Canada, man. Hence why I don't want to live in the States. The States is too crowded. Hence why I want to live. Hence why, even though I know I can easily move to the States. You know what I'm saying? I can easily move to the States, and I could what? And I can pay the actors in American. Obviously, I can do that. Obviously, I don't want to live in the States. It's too fucking crowded. As I prefer to live in Canada. I want my SkySource company to be in Vancouver. Ever since I saw videos and pictures of Vancouver, I always wanted to live. It's a dream of mine to live there. I always want to live out west in British Columbia, Canada. It's beautiful over there. And Vancouver is right next to the Pacific. It's the most beautiful city in Canada. It's right next to the Pacific Ocean, which is nice, obviously. So me and my wife can park our yacht in the docks. We can go out in the Pacific Ocean, obviously. It's right next to the ocean. It's very clean. A very expensive city to live in. I believe it's the second most expensive city to live in. Toronto's the most expensive city to live in Canada. And Vancouver is second most expensive. It's a very expensive city. Just like New York is a very expensive city to live in, Vancouver is a very expensive city to live in, obviously. But it's very clean. It's right next to the Pacific, and the winters there are not cold because Vancouver is right next to the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific is warm water, right? Vancouver doesn't have cold winters. And you also have the mountains. Vancouver is surrounded by mountains. You have the mountains. The mountains block a lot of the wind debris and all stuff. Hence why you have warmer climates. You have mild winters in Vancouver. Whereas out east in like Ottawa, Toronto and all stuff, Montreal, you have fucking cold winters. As winters in winters in Elmer, Quebec and Ottawa are fucking cold, man. Toronto, fucking cold winters, I'm saying. Winnipeg, all those places, cold winters. Vancouver doesn't have cold winters. It has mild winters. Hence why I so badly want to live there. It's the most beautiful city in Canada, man. And it's ranked, I believe, top 25 most beautiful. I think it's like 15th. It's ranked like 15th, 16th most beautiful city in the world because it's that beautiful. It's a top-notch city, obviously. I heard New York is ranked up there too, but I've been to New York, and New York is very filthy. New York has beautiful, beautiful building sceneries, but beautiful building scenes, obviously, very beautiful, obviously, but the city is very crowded and it's very filthy, man. Whereas Vancouver is nice and clean, whereas New York is filthy, man. It's filthy, dirty, man. Obviously. But I told you, if I lived in the States, I'd most likely live in New York. Because New York is a perfect place to build my rooftop condo. A beautiful view of the whole city, obviously. But I told you, I don't want to live in New York or the States because it's very, very crowded, obviously. And because I'm a Canadian citizen, I don't want to go through all those documents like becoming an American citizen. For me to register for an American card, I have to pay. Because I'm Canadian, I have to pay some foreign fee. You know what I'm saying? Because I live in Canada, it's easier for me to just live in Canada. All I have to do for the documents is just register with a new branch in Vancouver. When I meanwhile move to Vancouver, I have to register with a new branch. Obviously, all I have to do is register for a new branch, a new Scotiabank bank branch, get a new card, and get my own visa. I'll put a good, like, I don't know, 10 million in my visa. That's more than enough. 10, $20 million in my visa. The bank could easily put $100 million in my visa, but I'm not going to put $100 million in my visa. No, I'll put a good $20 million in my visa. That's enough. Because just in case, it's good to have a visa to build your credit. Obviously, it's good to have visas to build your credit. Obviously, all I have to do is just register for a new branch for my Scotiabank card and visa. I have to register for a British Columbia license card because I live in Quebec. I have a Quebec license card, but once I go to Vancouver, I have to register for what? For all I have to do is just pay a fee and I get my British Columbia Vancouver card, license card. I have to do that, obviously. While I pay this fee, I'll renew my passport for like 10 years. Renew my passport. I don't really need to get a health card, but I mean, I can register for. I'm gonna have to. If I get a health card, I'm gonna have to register for a British Columbia health card, and I'm also gonna have to register. I'm also gonna have to what? Register for Canada Post. Because me and my wife live in Vancouver, we have to register for Canada Post, obviously. That way, that for our mail, obviously, right? And that's all I have to do, pretty much. Whereas VJ, because she's American, she's gonna have to do quite a few documents, obviously. She's gonna have to what? Because she's not an American citizen, she's gonna have to register for what? A green card, whatever it is. I don't know what it's called. Because VJ is an American, she's gonna have to do some documents, obviously. So for her to get her bank card, she's gonna have to do some documents. She's gonna have to pay a foreign fee for her bank card, which is easy affordable, obviously. For her to get her Canadian license, she's gonna have to do some documents. She's gonna have to do some documents. VJ can get her as long as she has her license. She can qualify for a Canadian license, obviously, but she has to sign all these papers. She has to sign up for British Columbia Vancouver license card too. If she wants to drive in Vancouver, she has to do that. Obviously, she has to register for what? For Vancouver Canadian license. Obviously, what I'll do is I'll hire someone. I'll hire someone to do all the documents for us, man. Hey, look, man. I need you. I need you to do all the documents for us. Go through everything for us. I'll just have someone. I'll have someone do all the documents. I'll hire someone, have him or her do all the documents for my wife. I don't need to hire anyone to do documents for me. Actually, I'll hire someone to do the documents for me and my wife. That way it's easy. Because doing documents is, I hate it. It's really, really annoying. Going to the bank, me and my wife have to go ourselves with all the documents that we have to do. Because when me and my wife go to Vancouver, the first thing we have to do is we'll stay at a hotel. We're gonna have to do the documents first. Get that all over with, man. Okay, we need to register at Scotiabank for our bank card and visa. We need your American VJ. You need to do documents for what? You need to get your Canadian license, your Vancouver, British Columbia license. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't need a Canadian passport. As long, you can have an American passport and still fly, obviously. But even if you fly privately, you have to have a passport. Hence why when I pay this fee, I'm gonna I'm gonna renew my passport, obviously. My passport expired. Me and my wife are gonna have to do all those documents. Hence why it's really annoying. Hence why I'm gonna hire someone to do all the documents for me and my wife, obviously. Once we fly to Vancouver, obviously, which is really really fucking annoying, man. My camera is shaking there. Really, really fun. Hence why I'm just gonna hire someone I'll hire someone to go over all the papers. He just asks me my questions and he just writes it down. I'll have him write down all the stuff for us. That way me and my wife are not sure. Because doing documents, I'm telling you right now, I hate it. It's really, really annoying. Hence why I'm just gonna hire someone. Pay the person a nice $2,000 to do all the documents for you. That way it's easy. I mean, look, man, I don't know anything. Look, my wife's American. I need you to help me with all these documents. I don't know anything about that stuff, man. And you need to hire someone. Hire someone to do all the documents for you, obviously. Let's show my count here.